Dr. Thomas Beyerle, you are head of research at Catella Group. Thank you for joining us on BiTV.
Thank you for the invitation. I really appreciate that.
Catella has recently published its Logistics Market Map Europe 2021, which shows a sector reaching record transaction levels. How does this boom translate from a pricing standpoint?
Well, to be honest, I think, first of all, it was within the last 4 weeks, the most downloaded publication this year, which shows the pressure on logistic, or the interest of logistic activities, generally speaking. But secondly, of course, the new price level is, of course, driven by a real demand. I wouldn't say an exploded demand. I think COVID now comes to an end, which means not on a medical situation, but more on the super booming thing. I think the interest for all of us is the demand is there. It will be pushed heavily by the, let's say, logistic issues or end of globalization discussions, what we see right now. So reshoring going on, which means by the end of the day, a lot of academic explanations. The simple thing is demand is there, prices get higher. It's from an analytical standpoint, and this is my main job within Catella. It's a totally sober, healthy, friendly environment for that sector of the industry, definitely, yeah.
Okay, and therefore the Catella Logistics Market Map for Europe showcases 107 European logistics regions. Which markets are the tightest, and which ones present the most interesting opportunities, do you think?
Well, sometimes I'm a little bit too old-fashioned because I'm a still believer of the so-called blue banana. It was a geographical framework from the late 70s, which goes from Manchester, UK, via London, via Belgian, Dutch, via Alsace and Germany, Switzerland to northern part of Italy, with some spots on Barcelona, Zaragoza, which of course Troyes, Lyon, and Marseille, and of course in the north Copenhagen, Malmö, and Helsinki, Stockholm. So these are more the spots. But the blue banana represents around 2/3 of the whole European activity. So to be honest and fair, there are now some interesting spots for all of us. It's more, meanwhile, clusters and regions. So I think the cluster thinking, where we see new developments, where we see the demand, where we see, let's say, legislations activity, because logistic isn't that believed property like it was 20 years before. So you have a lot of restrictions meanwhile. So I think the blue banana is still existing more than ever, but also some interesting spots going to north, going to the eastern part, and to some parts in the south are definitely of interest for investors. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And therefore, you mentioned it, demand is very strong, and as demand for logistics space continues to rise, how do you see Europe's logistic markets evolve going forward?
Well, there will be a shaky pre-Christmas season, let's call it simple, because on one hand, we see the issues with timber, paper, IT activities going on. On the other hand, the demand is definitely there after COVID. Translate this into the Black Friday phenomenon we see now in November. So keep it short and simple. That quarter will be the best quarter ever in history of real estate logistic activities. Broad picture, there are some differentiations, to be honest, but it's a definitely booming thing. And more simple, after COVID, I think you and me, we are not back as super shoppers, but we shop more than probably before. Not in the shops, but also more on the logistic thing, because we get a big learning curve, what can we shop online and where we go back to the shops. And I think this will, in a general conclusion, a huge, massive demand for products which will be transported via logistic hubs to our households. Definitely, yeah, definitely.
Okay, great. Well, that's all the time we have for today, but thank you very much for this insight, and thank you all for joining us, and see you soon on BiTV.
Thank you very much.